This is Scott Richmond.
And Arnie Sherman.
You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM. Arnie Sherman, good morning.
Good morning, Scott. It's a lovely day here today.
It's beautiful.
You know, Montana is the place that many people dream about coming to live.
Yes.
You know, as I travel around the country, everybody is very jealous of my living here, and they always say the same thing. If I could figure out a way to make a living, I would move to Montana in a minute. I mean, what's not to like? It's a fantastic environment. It's a safe, beautiful place. And that has been the challenge for so many people. And it's part of the reason why Montana leads the nation in new business startups. People come here, they can't find the job of their dreams, or they can't find a job that fits their skill set, and they start their own businesses. We have not only do we lead the nation in new business startups, but the number of women-owned businesses in Montana exceed the national average in terms of growth by 5 times. Over the last decade, we've had 5 times the average growth in women-owned businesses in Montana.
Impressive.
So there's a lot of women entrepreneurs here, and there are a lot of services available for women entrepreneurs, and it's a really important segment. There are 40,000 women-owned businesses in the state of Montana.
That's incredible. Of how many businesses?
People.
Of how many businesses?
It's probably 30% of the businesses in Montana.
That's impressive.
Which is a pretty good representative number of businesses owned by women.
That's very impressive.
You know, and today we have the founder and the owner of VIGR here, Michelle Huie. VIGR is a lifestyle compression legwear company.
Sure.
So they make, designer compression socks. And while that sounds kind of like a narrow, little niche, as I did my, research, my due diligence on the topic today, I found out some interesting things besides the therapeutic use and the use of it for after surgery and the use of it when you have, sports injuries. In the running world now, there's a tremendous use of compression socks.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So we have Michelle, who came here in 2013, started this business. It's growing like gangbusters. She's also the director of marketing for Submittables here, which is also a startup that's doing extremely well. And it'll be interesting to hear how her business is going. Why she said no to Shark Tank. She was asked to go on Shark Tank.
That's interesting.
And she said no to that. And we'll talk about, how many pairs of socks she's really sold up until now.
So did she take the job for Submittable and then come up with Vim and Vigor, or was it the other way around?
She started Vim and Vigor and just recently went to work for Submittable.
Is that right?
Yep.
And how come? Well, we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Yeah, why am I asking Arnie?
Don't ask me. I don't know anything.
We're going to ask Michelle.
This is everything I know. We're going to ask Michelle about this when she gets on the show.
Okay, great, Arnie. I'm looking forward to it. Our guest is Michelle from Vim and Vigor. We'll be back right after this. This is What Do You Know? Proudly sponsored and supported by Don Maddox, Glacier Sotheby's International Realty. Back after this. Okay, Arnie, we're back with our esteemed guest.
Michelle, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. How does it feel to be one of 20 under 40 in Missoula, Montana? A lot of pressure on you for that?
A little bit. Just a little bit of pressure.
So you came here in 2013, right?
2011.
11, really?
Where'd you come from?
I'm from New York.
Where in New York? New York City?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Queens.
Where in Queens? What high school did you go to?
I went to Regal. I grew up in Regal Park.
Right.
PS 206.
Wow.
Neighborhood got rough, some drive-by shootings, and we moved to the suburbs of Long Island. Can you see the G?
Where in Long Island?
Syosset, Long Island.
Syosset?
We used to play Syosset. I went to PS.
He knows that.
I went to PS 115, 172, and 186.
Oh, my gosh.
And then I went to high school in Farmingdale.
I used to compete against. I used to run track
against Farmingdale.
Where could you get a good bagel and a schmear in Syosset?
There's tons. Bagel Master, Bagel Boss. I know. I mean, I used to sing Hebrew songs.
Did you?
In my Long Island high school. I did. Basha na haba'a nesheva hamerfeset.
So let me describe this scene. Okay. Is that right?
Seriously.
What brought you out here?
Love.
Love?
Yep. My partner, significant other.
But you were born in New York City?
Born in New York City.
Where are your parents born?
Hong Kong.
So they came.
China and Hong Kong.
Right. Okay.
So they immigrated here in the 60s with my siblings. All my siblings were born in Hong Kong. 20 years age difference. Had them at 18, 20.
Really?
22,
wow.
And then had me at 40.
You were the gift.
I was. Oops. Same thing.
My parents were 40 when they had me too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you feel like the chosen one.
I know.
You're anointed.
The only one, the last one.
Yes, you're the last one.
So I know that you went to college at University of Chicago, and
did.
degree in economics, and then you went to the Kellogg School of Management in Northwestern for an MBA.
I did.
How'd you get from New York to Chicago?
So New York wanted to leave the New York area.
Why?
Born because New York is awesome, but there's something that can be somewhat insular about New York too. New Yorkers are all about New Yorkers, and growing up, we used to
even when we don't live in New York.
Yeah, I know exactly. You want to know exactly. Where do you get a bagel and schmear, right?
Right.
And wanted to go to a really good school. Big emphasis on education. My parents, immigrant parents, never went to college.
Right.
Blue collar workers, typical. Owned an ice cream store, owned a laundromat situation in Lower East Side. And education was big. So University of Chicago being an awesome school, I got lucky,
They didn't own a Carvel, did they?
They owned a Carvel ice. How did you know that they owned a Carvel ice
They own Carvel? Fudgy the Whale?
Yeah, Cookie Puss, Fudgy the Whale.
No one knows that out here.
Yeah, I know.
It was just a wild
By the way,
guess.
Cookie Puss and Fudgy the Whale is the same mold.
Yep. I used to make cakes and work
Did
there.
you?
Yeah, so that when I was, we would sleep in the Carvel because,
No one listening to the show have any idea
I know,
what we're talking
probably
about.
Okay, well, it's our version. It was our version of Dairy Queen, but they also have Dairy Queens there. But
no, it was an institution.
You're right,
Everyone
it was.
had a Carvel ice cream cake for their birthday.
Yes.
Like that was a staple.
Well, you didn't say let's go get ice cream. You used to say
like a
let's
Carvel.
go to Carvel.
Exactly.
Wait, so where was their Carvel? Down the lower
Valley Stream.
Oh, in Valley Stream? Oh, that must have been popular.
Yeah, really popular.
There are a lot of people. Wait, so why did she choose to leave New York? Insular, go to a great school.
Right.
Okay, I got to follow.
And I got some scholarship money.
And then you spent some of that time. You went to London School of Economics.
I went to London School of Economics.
Oh my God,
for
you're
a
way
year,
overqualified for this,
which was awesome. Same school that Mick Jagger didn't graduate from.
Right.
Went there, but never graduated from London School of Economics.
You're our most degreed up guest we've ever had.
Up your game, Scott.
There's charter college.
There's time for you yet. There's time.
No, there isn't. So what brought you? So all right. So then Chicago.
My significant other, Kyle Volk, is a historian. We met when he was getting his PhD at University of Chicago. He got a job out here at University of Montana, moved out here in 2007, but it took me a while to find a job. Like a lot of Montanans, it's hard to find employment out here, right?
Why do I know Kyle? Where did I meet Kyle?
He has written some award-winning books.
Did we? Okay, we have an interview.
You may have interviewed him.
Arnie, we have not.
No.
Arnie and I remember all of our guests.
Does he also work at the wine?
Yes, he works at the Wine Merchant.
That's where I know him from somewhere else.
My spies are everywhere.
Missoula Wine Merchant. That's the place to get your wine.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you come out here. So you're working at, first of all, you're working in healthcare and pharmaceutical.
Pharmaceutical, healthcare, biotech for 14 years. Came out here, I was a kind of a brand director in a biotech startup in New York. I went from Chicago back to New York, worked in marketing there.
Right.
And an opportunity came up for me to finally move out to Montana, and I was able to be a sales rep. That's the only way I could live out here and still be in the industry. And I took it. So I moved out here in early 2011.
And then what was the genesis of Vim and Vigor?
Well, mainly because I was driving throughout the state of Montana, eastern Idaho, northern Wyoming, and my legs were just beat. I was just tired.
Right.
I talked to a friend who's a physical therapist, and he says, "Oh, you should be wearing compression socks." And the first thing I thought was, really? My 95-year-old grandmother wears these odd nude color, I don't know whose skin color looks like that, compression socks.
It always looks like you were wounded in
a war, in like World War II or something, right?
Yeah.
I didn't inspire confidence. So I went online, and the only thing I could find were athletic compression socks that were like neon yellow, neon orange, or medical, ugly, boring stuff.
Right. I mean,
nothing
sometimes
for an early 30-year-old.
Right. I was flying around the world, and people say, well, if you're on flights of longer than you should wear these things.
Exactly.
And I said, okay. And then I looked at them. I said, I'm not wearing those.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine
I don't want somebody finding my body and on my leg.
Right.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
What do they always say? Clean underwear, and no ugly compression socks.
Right.
That's the theme, right?
And nobody else was making these?
Not really. They weren't great. They weren't great quality. And so a light bulb went off. I mean, I went to business school. I majored in entrepreneurship and innovation. I said, I've written business plans. I'm like, if I have a need for this in my early 30s, I'm sure there are other people that have a need for this
Right.
too. And that's kind of how it came about. And I was obsessed with coming up with this product. Obsessed.
So did your parents ever say to you, we sent you to college and graduate school so you could make socks?
You're going to love this story. Okay. So my dad, who, blue collared, owned an ice cream store, I told him about my business. And the first thing he says to me, you don't know how to sew socks.
Right.
He literally thought I was literally darning the socks, at home.
Like you were the garment district,
exactly.
making,
But he knows that I'm not the most domestic person. I didn't take after a lot of other more traditional women that he may know.
Right.
And so he was like, you don't know how to sew. How are you going to start a sock company? But I thought it was
but you saw a need in the marketing. Really, it was marketing led.
Yeah, it's really creating the product and marketing and getting it out there and educating.
So following up on your dad's question, how did you learn about this industry? How did you learn about it? I mean, there are medical. I mean, you have to be. I don't know if FDA approved, but I mean, you need to create a product that meets certain qualifications.
Absolutely.
And standards.
Yep. So all of these products are listed with the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. First thing I did was I actually talked to vascular surgeons and vein clinics. They're the ones who recommend compression socks. They talk about it. They
like Bellama here.
Bellama, yeah. Bellama actually sells Vim and Vigor as well.
Mm-hmm. They're very stylish.
Yeah,
but you sell these
cute.
worldwide, right?
We sell them. We're in over 1,000 retailers nationwide.
Wow.
We're in Japan and some European countries and Hong Kong.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you launch. So you do your due diligence.
I do my due diligence.
You learn about how to make these correctly.
Yep.
You bring in experts that know something
knows about the science, because I wanted to learn, because I'm science driven, right?
Right.
Marketing, but also science. That's what I've been doing my whole career. And so I wanted to bring in the doctors to teach me about the benefits. And when I learn more about it, I'm just like, gosh, why isn't everybody wearing this? You're standing on your feet probably all day, right?
Yes.
People nurses stand on their feet.
I just bought 2 pair of the compression socks.
I eat standing up. I do.
Exactly, right. So, what I always say is gravity is a bitch sometimes, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
everything kind of gets pulled down. Compression socks help increase.
Michelle, though, the question for you. So being out here in Missoula, which is a town where people recreate and they're very active.
Yep.
Like that gives you a great test market, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
You have a very rich array of the demographic. You have the older,
right,
all the way down to students, which is great.
And that's why that's one of those things I've always said about Missoula. It's actually an awesome place to start a business.
Right.
The community itself has been so accepting and embracing and promoting the product. They are all about it. And plus, they care about their health. A lot of people here they hike, they run. I mean, gosh, even in the smoke, I saw tons of people running.
I know,
I'm like crazy. But they really care about their health. And so it's just been a great test market for it. I wish I could have a gazillion Missoulas all over the country. I'd be set.
Similar markets.
Yeah.
So it's a great test market. Question, though, in the sense of, like, I bought 2 pairs of those, and it was for running. Mm-hmm. And it takes a little bit getting used to wearing a pair of compression.
Why did you buy them for running?
Because I know
Did you read an article somewhere or somebody tell you?
Yeah.
Well, it's a good question. I read my legs were. First of all, my legs were swelling a little bit. My knees were swelling, and that might have to do with cartilage issues, right?
Or diet.
Or diet. Exactly. I'm eating too much. Yeah. So then I'm thinking, all right, so I'm going to wear these compression socks to keep the circulation going,
right,
and hopefully reduce the swelling.
Yep.
And that's what they're good for.
Absolutely. It does take getting used to. I mean,
it's very hard, though.
They're tight. They're supposed to be tight. It's supposed to be like
regular socks.
They're supposed to feel like a hug on your legs. But people, the awesome thing is, we've gotten people who've never, ever worn compression socks before. We get emails every day where they say they wear our socks every day now because it just makes them feel great. They notice when they don't wear it. And I challenge, try wearing it for a couple of days in a row and then don't wear it. You're going to really feel the difference.
So they're everyday socks for people now.
They're every day. And that's how I've really positioned the product and marketed.
Sure.
The product, that you have it for medical, you have it to wear for running. I'd rather people wear this 11 hours of the day when they're on their feet or sitting all day. Right. And they can wear the other kind of sports, athletic compression socks the 1 hour they work out.
So you launched the company when?
Late 2013.
And
so it's been about 4 years old.
And how many pairs of socks have you sold so far?
Over 250,000.
That's
$250,000.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, so over 250,000.
Are you on target or ahead of what your projections
Well,
were?
our 3-year growth percentage is about 250% as well. So we've been doubling sales year over year.
That's fantastic.
And so our goal next year is also to double sales again. We've been hiring. We've hired probably like 4 new people.
So how many people do you have working for you in Missoula, Montana?
About 16.
And you're going to stay here?
Of course. Where else am I going to go?
Are you manufacturing here?
No, we've looked into that, and it's such a technical product.
Sure.
And it's been really difficult to figure out how we're going to do that. So it's manufactured at a family-owned company in Taiwan. They've been making compression socks for 35, 40 years now.
Wonderful.
So you started business 4 years ago in an industry you don't know anything about.
No, not a lick.
And 4 years later, you have 16 employees, and you sold $250,000 socks at what, $32.95?
Yeah.
Is that what they sell for?
Yeah, retail price. Yeah.
Now I know from my little sources that you were asked to be on Shark Tank and you didn't go.
That's correct.
Tell us why.
Why, Michelle?
I think there's a couple of reasons. It was a tough decision. This happened a few years ago. I think it's with bringing in any investor in. It's a big decision.
Right.
It's a marriage. I mean, you can't get out of this.
Right. Sole proprietorship.
I'm a sole proprietorship.
So you don't have any equity investors.
I don't have any equity investors. No angel investors. 100%.
It's just you.
Just me. Yeah. And so it changed. In working, having a lot of friends who have companies with VC funding and private equity fund and angel, it adds a different dynamic. Decision making can be difficult. You lose control over the product. Their expectations for sales. I mean, I think we're doing pretty well with 100% growth rate. You bring in a VC, they are expecting 300 to 500% growth rate. And I just wasn't willing to compromise the quality of the product, which usually happens.
Right.
You push manufacturers too hard,
right?
And you try to grow too fast. What's gonna suffer? Quality and customer service. And so I feel like let's grow steady, let's grow strong, let's grow in a sustainable way. That's it.
I read an article that you wrote, and you used a term I hadn't seen before, which I thought was a very interesting term: authentic growth.
Yeah.
So explain to our listeners what authentic growth means.
Authentic growth really allows your ability to put the product in the market and grow from a more grassroots way rather than a forced way.
Right, and your thinking, by the way, is that if you take in a venture partner, they're going to force you to do stuff. They want numbers.
It becomes sometimes top down. So there's different types of growth. Bottom up, which is kind of grassroots. You have
organic,
right, versus top down. And I think you can create a much more sustainable product if you grow more organically and authentically. And so that's kind of the premise of authentic growth.
Let's do a quick idea. Our guest is Michelle Huie, from the founder of Vim and VIGR.
So you're not busy enough with Vim and VIGR. You're also working as Director of Marketing for Submittable?
I am. It's been awesome. So Michael,
what do you have? What do you work 22 hours a day?
People ask if I sleep a lot,
because I know Michael is very demanding at Submittable.
He's awesome. He's great. It's an awesome company. I've known Michael since I started the business. I remember having dinner with Michael. First time I met him was at some type of event at the Pearl. And I had no idea who he was. He was telling me about his company, Submittable. I was telling him about Vim and VIGR. And he's like, you just have to put a buy button on it. I was like, but I'm not ready to launch. He's like, put a buy button on it. And so since then, it's like our ongoing joke, like just put a buy button on it. Yeah. I thought about making them a t-shirt.
Tell our listeners what Submittables is.
So Submittable is an awesome online marketplace that allows creators to find opportunities and organizations to find creative content. And the University of Montana is utilizing it. Atlantic uses it. New Yorker utilizes it to really accept submissions, and allows the organization to review and curate and review all the content that they're getting in. It's awesome. And
it has a two focus. As a writer of a document that you want to submit,
right? Whether
it's a resume or a script, or a grant application,
exactly.
You would be a customer.
Exactly.
At the same time, you have organizations that are recipients of submitted articles and they're using you also.
Absolutely.
They pay for the service, right?
It's really, they're the ones, the organizations are the ones who are paying.
They have a license, right?
Correct. And there's two different customer groups we have. We have the creators and the writers and the grant writers, and we have the organizations as well. And it's awesome because we just recently launched this cool Discover feature that allows writers or any type of person to go in and look for opportunities. So it's become this amazing marketplace for people. One of my colleagues was just at a reading event in Spokane, Washington, and she mentioned in front of a room of like 50 people that she works at Submittable, and there was an applause. Okay, just the amount of traction Submittable is getting out there. We just got $5 million in VC funding, did a press release on that over the summer, and that's when I came on board to really help an already successful team get even bigger.
So Submittable has had at least 2 rounds of VC funding.
Yes.
So they've taken a route that you didn't take at Vim and Vigor.
Yeah, yeah.
So how does it feel working in a place where that has done what you didn't choose to do in your own business? Do you notice differences?
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to work there, aside from believing in the product, but just kind of learning from how do you scale growth. And I think the way that we are doing it is Submittable, and the VC partners that we have, they get us. And what's awesome about this is we're allowed to grow fast, but grow still authentically. And so it just depends, again, who you get into bed with, who's going to be your partner.
So, for example, we'll focus a little bit on Submittable.
Yeah,
we'll go back to Vim and Vigor because I'm interested. So I'm a high school student wanting to apply to a university. I can use this service?
It depends on the university.
University of Montana. I'm going to apply to the University of Montana.
They have, I think we're accepting graduate school applications. You go right into the Submittable platform. It's all right there. It's self-contained. You apply. You can actually go back and see if it's been accepted or reviewed.
Right.
And then the organization, i.e. University of Montana, can kind of receive a repository for all of the applications.
I want to write a professional article for a publication that is under your, have a contract with. I would go to that site.
You can go there, and you can also follow organizations, which is really cool now. You can do searches. So even, obviously there's one way that you just know of an opportunity. That's cool. But if you don't, you can look for opportunities.
Well, why would a company sign up for this? Because it's a way to manage and a secure, manageable.
Yeah, it's become this. That's what they love. It saves time for a lot of organizations. You think about the old school way of doing this: Excel, email, clutter of email, right? And so it puts everything in one place. The cool thing is you could review and kind of do a thumbs up, thumbs down kind of process. There's a whole review.
But isn't
process.
Like Dropbox? Isn't that what Dropbox? Like I could put a folder and say submit articles here. It's just not as searchable. It doesn't have all the data.
Right. It doesn't
attached
have all the data.
to it.
Exactly.
Well, it also doesn't have a customized platform that the university or the publishing house wants to have. So you do Condé Nast, and would you Condé Nast?
Right.
Who else?
So the Knight Foundation.
Wow.
Tons. We have thousands of.
That's amazing.
So somebody wants to submit a request for a grant to the Knight Foundation.
Yep, they would go through Submittable.
And the format that they're using.
Their exact format is right there. The template is right. The form template is right there. And the cool thing is it's really helpful for the organization, but the same information is seen by the submitter.
I see.
So it's a better way, I think, to compare and contrast applicants when they're all doing it exactly the same way.
Consistency.
So you could file.
Rather than somebody just says, write me a cover letter and send me your resume. You don't know what they're going to say or what they're going to
see.
And people,
here the company gets exactly what they want.
Exactly. Same format that they wanted.
Now, where are all your servers? Where's all the guts of the company? Is it here?
No, you should talk to our development people. I'm a marketer, right? I don't know the back end system, so I don't want to misspeak on that.
So is it a marketer?
Right.
Where do you find your leads? Who do you go talk to?
So this is a fascinating thing. Okay, I love this as a marketer. In marketing, you're learned the idea of outbound marketing.
Right.
Sales drive sales. Sales. You go out. You go to trade shows. You do cold calls.
It's like when you were in the pharmaceutical sales.
Right. So sales drive sales. In tech, marketing drives sales, which is such an interesting thing.
Yes.
The whole idea of inbound marketing is kind of this newer thing that's come about in the past 8 years or so, 5 to 8 years. And you have big companies making a lot of money off of inbound marketing, like HubSpot, for example. So it's such an interesting, different, dynamic approach to marketing that, to be honest with you, I've never really worked in before.
And you discover these companies out of nowhere, but that's the way to do it.
That's
through the marketing.
How you do it, exactly.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It has been awesome because I've been able to take my learnings from Vim and Vigor and my background with outbound to bring it into Submittable. But I've also learned the concept of inbound and bringing that into Vim and Vigor.
Right.
So
now let me ask you on a personal basis.
Yeah.
How do you manage the two? I mean, you got a company that you're running that has 16 employees selling to 1,000 retailers and trying to grow that business.
Yep.
You have an ambitious business plan. You want to double next year again. And you're working for a company that now has VC money in it, and they're going through a growth
absolutely.
spurt. How do you fit the two together?
I think a couple things: discipline, focus. I'm pretty much physically every day I do both, but I'm physically at Submittable 2.5 days a week. I'm physically at VIGR 2.5 days a week. The second thing is I have an awesome team. They are really dialed. I've hired some really great, talented people. They know what they need to do, and it's about leading, your team to be successful rather than doing all the work. I mean, that would be impossible task.
Where did you find, especially for Vim and Vigor, what's the composition look like in terms of your staff? Are they marketing and operations and inventory management? How does it break out?
Well, initially when I launched, it was mainly kind of marketing and sales, right?
Right.
And now though, I've realized the biggest challenge is operations.
Right.
It's a beast. I mean, you think about hundreds of SKUs and 1,000 retailers and inventory. Your value of your company is in your inventory,
right?
And cash flow. Cash flow is king. I mean, that's for reals in this business.
Supply chain, particularly when you get
distribution.
If you're getting a 500,000, a million pairs.
Yeah, exactly.
And how do you? Because then you got all these issues around collections and
AR
and international sales. You're selling international.
So how is that? So you must have. So operations is really
where I'm investing the most in right now.
Sure.
So I feel we have our kind of sales structure and marketing structure really dialed in.
Right.
We've got a great brand presence, a voice, and it's growing. And right now our job is to tighten up our operations, and we're actively doing that every day now.
Do you do marketing on a one-to-one basis to the end consumer, or are you marketing to both the consumer and the retail outlet?
Both.
And how do you do that? For instance, how would you reach the consumer?
So there's a couple things. I mean, first off, to kind of talk about the strategy that I had going forward.
Sure.
I actually focused most of my attention for the first 2.5 years on the wholesale retail market, mainly because there's a lot of education that's involved in graduated compression socks. I'm creating a market that doesn't really exist, and so I was really wanting to utilize the retailer to help with education. So I didn't do a ton of stuff online. Yes, I had a website, but I didn't do a big push.
Not a big
late last year, I hired an awesome head of marketing who was at Amazon for 10 years.
Got it.
And since then, she's really kind of transformed our online presence and took it to a whole new level. We do a lot with social media. We do a lot with influencers, affiliate marketing. There's all these different ways.
Techniques.
Different techniques.
Is she based here?
Yes.
So how did you get her here?
I put an ad out in Craigslist.
Really? No, you didn't.
No, I'm serious.
And she came from Seattle?
She wanted to move to Seattle, from Seattle
here.
Craigslist in Seattle.
I just put an ad out in Missoula Craigslist. I probably have hired 50% of my talented team from Craigslist.
You know what's amazing about that? That at any normal company and a similar company in a bigger market, the cost of recruiting somebody of that caliber.
I know.
You know how much money she saved?
Oh, yeah.
I know. Right?
And people want to come here, right?
She was tired of the rat race of Seattle. She wanted to come here. And I remember interviewing her in May, and she's like, but I can't start till September because I want to travel. I'm like, take as much time as you need,
Right.
What's a similar story is a guy out of Bozeman that has what's his name again? Oh, shoot.
Why?
He has a firm down there, a marketing firm. He worked with Submittable, and they just hired somebody from Amazon.
Oh, no way. Oh, is it SRI?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's his name? Oh, God, sorry. We're on the radio. Sorry. We'll figure it out. He's a friend, though.
Oh, no. Not that good. Not that good.
He works with Andy. He works with Andy down in
Andy Halloran, yes.
and down in Bozeman. But anyway, so getting the caliber of people you got there, was it mostly through and then operations wise?
Yeah.
You have to have people that have real world experience to be able to manage something like that.
Totally. And actually, so right now for our operations team, I just hired a director of operations. She was head of operations for one of the companies at Consumer Direct. Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. And on top of
deal.
that, I brought in a kind of a lean manufacturing consultant, this guy, Mike Manhart. So between, her ability on the financials and his ability for lean manufacturing, I'm looking forward to a tight team there.
So let me ask you this. Some people would say that if you only have one product, you're a product, not a company.
Exactly.
So do you have other products in mind for the future?
I do. And, you know, I have tights. Obviously, I do other things like that. That's one thing that I'm currently working on is what's next. You know, what does Vim and Vigor want to be? And we want to be kind of in the wellness, health, everyday lifestyle company. And that means that we have to do a lot of work to change people's perception of compression socks.
Right.
So even though we're just because you're one product, there's a lot of things you can do to increase the knowledge base of the product. So we got some things up our sleeves. I'm not going to say anything yet.
Yeah, we don't want to
I want to reveal my secrets.
But if it's prosthetic limbs,
I don't think it's. I don't know.
Designer prosthetic limbs.
Yeah.
No, but I think you're on the right track. You build a base.
Exactly.
You have your distribution system up to speed on your product.
Yep.
They appreciate the value of it and the quality of it, and then you can introduce into that same stream other related wellness products.
You got it. And right now we're building our base and our foundation. So that's what we're been working hard on.
Michelle Huie is our guest. You are listening to What Do You Know, proudly supported and sponsored by Don Maddox, Glacier Sotheby's International Realty, Arnie.
So you figured out how to do this because, your physical therapist, said, you need to do something. It would seem to me, again, I'm not asking you to divulge. I'm not going to push on that. But, I mean, there are a lot of people who, travel on cramped, planes. And, probably the number one complaint I hear about people, of Scott and my age are back problems. So there may be, products in those areas that go along with
I
this.
mean, there's so many things. A lot of physical therapists recommend our products. OBGYNs do, obviously, for pregnancy.
Right.
Vein clinics sell our product and recommend our products. So there's a lot. There's just so much potential. We every day we say we're barely scratching the surface.
Sure. Well, what's happening? I know that it's becoming very popular in the running world.
Yeah.
And who's the force, the catalyst behind that?
I think that there's a couple of things. I think there are some brands are like CEP, Zensa. Those are kind of two main athletic compression sock companies. And I'm actually, kind of acquaintances, friends with the CEO of Zensa. So he really lives in the athletic world. He recognizes that I live in the lifestyle world. So we have a good relationship. But they've been doing this for years, and there's a huge need of muscle recovery because compression socks can improve muscle recovery.
Right, and it's good for hikers and climbers too.
Great for hikers and climbers. Great for people who stand all day. So servers, nurses, teachers.
So is this sold at REI or places like that?
Not yet.
But you're working on it.
Yeah,
right?
Murdoch's. It's sold at Murdoch's.
Murdoch's is a good place
sold
for
at
it.
Runner's Edge. Does great there. We're going to be sold at Rock and Rudy's, which is really fun.
That's fun.
cool.
Well, because it's I'm looking at them here in the studio.
Yeah.
And they're very cool looking.
Yeah. So what I want to.
And you even brought a size for me, so
I did.
I could start wearing them myself.
I mean, one thing I did when I initially launched, what people thought I was crazy, is I wanted to mimic a person's sock drawer. So when you open up your sock drawer, what are all the different socks you have? You've got wool, cotton, nylon for different shoes and different purposes. So when I launched, I went all in. I came up with 4 different fabrics to mimic the sock drawer. And so that's kind of how I think, are trying to get into the lifestyle market.
Sure. And where did the inspiration for the patterns and the stripes and all that come from?
A lot of the early ones came from my head, or things that I read, or things that or pattern that I would see.
Had you ever designed anything before that?
Never.
So you're already in your 30s, right?
I was, early 30s.
And you're now designing. I mean, in some ways, this
created the category.
I mean, this is in a fashion world. This is, this is a fashion product along with a practical product.
We're sold at Nordstrom's. We do really well.
Really,
at Nordstrom's? Yeah.
Where is it? Just in the sock department? Or in the hosiery department?
Yeah, in the sock department. Yeah, so it does well there, and so we're getting there. I think there's still a lot of work to do, but we're definitely getting to the lifestyle market.
It's a great. The person I was thinking of was Steve Cannon.
Okay.
I forget the name of his friend. He's down in Bozeman.
You Facebooked him?
Bozeman. I just linked him in. But he was actually talking about they just hired somebody out of, in Bozeman too, hired someone out of Amazon.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're tired of Seattle. They want to get to.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of we have a lot of grads.
Right. Well, it'll be interesting what happens when Amazon chooses the location for its new corporate
You think
headquarters.
Missoula's a contender?
No. But when they move somewhere where a lot of the people in Seattle don't want to go, you can
true.
lure
That's a
right
great
to
idea.
Missoula
Thank
here.
you. That's what we're going to do.
When they pick Biloxi, Mississippi, you can.
Oh, no.
You can,
They're like,
you
I'm
can
not
lure.
moving there.
No, of course
Is
not.
doing business with like eBay or Amazon as part of your strategy, like selling through there?
Yeah.
It's almost like a necessary evil, isn't it?
It is. It really is a necessary. It's really.
You
really
lose
difficult.
margin.
Well, more than that is you lose control over the pricing. And
Yes.
that is really, as someone in the retail space, I don't want to piss off my retailers when somebody can go on Amazon and get it for cheaper. So
That's
had to
always
keep,
the challenge, right?
But we've actually, since Kira, who started, she's been keeping an eye on if anyone lowers a price, she's on them. And so luckily on our Amazon page, people don't go under with the retail price, which is great.
Well, because people who want to buy it can check on your website.
They go on our website and go on Amazon.
They go to Amazon and see.
So price integrity is held.
Price integrity because we pretty much say, hey, what are you doing? Or if somebody decides a retailer.
But you got to sell to them. That's where your margin goes, right? Is how you sell to them at what wholesale cost.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different things you can do
Good
with
idea
Amazon.
to hire someone from Amazon,
right? You can sell to them directly, like just sell them a bunch, and then they control everything in the inventory. That's the way you lose the most control, right? Because you can't change anything. The second way is you're an Amazon seller, so you send it to, people order through Amazon and you literally ship it out.
Right.
The third way is fulfilled by Amazon, and that's when you still control the listing, but you send it to an Amazon warehouse and they just fulfill. All they do is
That's what I do with my Tai Chi videos.
Yeah.
I still sell it that way, but I only
Tai Chi videos.
Yeah, I'll give you one on after this.
Awesome.
I sell it through Amazon and I get so much less wholesale.
Right.
But you're tapping into their marketplace.
From Amazon Prime and all that stuff. Yeah.
You're tapping into their marketplace, but the direct to consumer, direct to your wholesale model is more lucrative, I would imagine.
Yeah. And I remember being I was interviewed in a magazine a month ago, and they said, why are you focusing on the brick and mortar retail store? Aren't they dying? And I said, no, I don't think they're dying at all. I think a lot of the independent retail stores have an opportunity to provide a great experience. That's different. And you think about it.
It's changing a little bit. I mean, a town like Missoula, where people want the visceral experience,
totally.
We're building a bigger mall, right? Most malls are shutting down. Mm-hmm. I just saw that Nordstrom's is opening in Los Angeles the first store that doesn't sell merchandise.
Yeah, that's big now. Showrooms.
It's a showroom. They have all their products, 3,000 square feet, and you pick out what you want, and you come in 3 o'clock, back after 3 o'clock, and they bring it in your size the way you want it from one of their 6 warehouses in L.A.
In L.A.?
Yeah.
There used to be a company called Service Merchandise back east.
Yeah, I remember Service Merchandise.
It was the same thing, but you could get it right there, but you waited.
You can think. You can see this. You get, you're on the way to work, and there's the little Nordstrom store, and you pop in. You need a white shirt or a white blouse.
Right.
You go and you pick it out. You pay for it. You go to work. You come home on the way home, and you pick up your product.
I think with technology being the way it is, more and more people are able to buy clothing like this or like these shirts or these pants. All this stuff I bought online. None of this was bought in a store.
Yeah.
So I actually think socks may be different, but for shirts and things like that, the retail exposure is great to market and to create legitimacy, credibility, but that's really an online brand. I mean, that's a brand that, I shouldn't say that's a brand that was born out of, digital marketing and direct to consumer, or was it born out of direct to the stores first and then
compression socks?
Yes, compression socks.
Compression socks actually got its start in stores.
Well, you created the category though.
That's true.
So you created it in the stores?
I focused in the stores first.
Okay, great.
Make sure that they have a good base in the stores, and now we're because we're not in every single town, right? So we want to make sure that
because I think of like Harry Shaves. Like I think of all these private brands that did not exist, but they were born online.
Right, but then they move into stores. Harry's
or they tried to.
Well, Harry's is in Targets.
Harry's is right. So, but that was their strategy.
It's a reverse strategy.
Right.
It's really interesting because you're seeing a lot of these brands have this reverse strategy.
Aren't you impressed, Michelle, that two guys sitting around in a little studio?
Well, you know what's nice about it?
I'm really impressed.
Well, because when you're selling to the buyer at Target, you're like, look, I've got a database of boom.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like
people recognize a brand.
Right.
And you know, a lot of these big stores they want data. You know, they want to see the data.
Right.
The risks taking
right.
of a lot of these big box stores are not there. And that's why I think a lot of these independent, smaller mom and pop shops, they can take risk. In fact, people want to go to those stores and find different things that they're not going to see.
They're curating stuff.
They're curating the product more.
Well, it was interesting when we talked about, we mentioned Harry's. In Target, they sell it for the same price. They don't cut price. You can't get it cheaper.
So they have to hold.
They're holding the price that if you contact them online.
Look, we are 36 minutes into this conversation. We got to take a quick break.
Flew by.
I hate that.
Well, we'll be back in a minute.
We'll be back right after this. I love talking food too, and we are back. Arnie?
Michelle, so explain to me and our listeners how compression socks actually work and what are the benefits.
So graduated compression socks are tighter in the ankle and becomes less tight as it goes up the leg in a graduated format.
Right.
And it's that external pressure that kind of pushes blood and fluids up from the lower part of your legs up and helps it with increased circulation. So that's generally how it works. Like I said earlier, our product's listed with the Food and Drug Administration, so you need to make sure, because a lot of things claim to be compression. Anything tight can call themselves compression.
Right.
But graduated compression, you want to make sure that they have a compression level, that they're actually graduated, that they use medical knitting machines.
Right, and the kinds of problems somebody might have to warrant the use of the socks, besides using them every day just because they're good for circulation.
Leg swelling.
Clots? Potential for clots?
Right. So some people have deep vein thrombosis or factor V Leiden, which is a blood clot disorder. A lot of times they have to wear compression socks every day. But, you know, if you're on a plane and just achy legs. Good. Right. If you have really, really achy, tired legs.
Will they stop your legs from from aching?
Yeah.
Knees, Michelle, because I find after running, the knees hurt really bad. But if you have these on, it's supposed to, evenly distribute the blood?
Yeah, so just help increase circulation.
Okay.
And so, I don't know if it can totally help your knees, but
swelling is the biggest.
Swelling's a big thing.
Swelling's just the biggest health issue.
It is. I mean, any type of inflammation or swelling is a big deal.
That's right.
It makes it difficult for you to be able to heal if you're an athlete, or if you even go for a run. And also, the tightness helps reduce a lot of the micro tears that can happen when you're hard on your body and moving a lot. So a lot of times athletes wear it if they're working out.
And you have them for men, for women?
For men and for women.
Not for children.
Not for children, yeah. And though we have had a lot of people, I know, we have had people ask for it for children because they like kind of the sensory kind of effect of compression. Could be beneficial.
So let me switch gears just for a second. If somebody who has listened to the whole show is interested in finding out about submittables and has something that they're looking to submit and they want to find out what organizations, agencies, institutions, companies are using the submittable software format, how do they get a hold of that, of submittables?
Go to submittable.com, submittable.com. And you'll have all the information you need about how the platform works, the software, the different customers and use cases.
And so that's for also people who want to use it or people that want to set it up for their own business.
Exactly. If you have even a family-owned foundation or any type of grants, great place to go.
Good. And for Vim and Vigor, how do we find you?
So we're in about probably 19 places in Missoula, so that's helpful.
Right.
And then also www.vimvigor.com. That's VIMVIGR.com.
VIGR.
VIGR. No O.
VIMVIGR.
Yes.
The O got dropped.
So what do you miss most? Let's wrap this up. What do you miss most about being back east? About growing up in
food.
That's a common theme at Arnie.
I have to, when I go back, I have to get a couple things. I have to get a thin slice of pizza on 57th and 1st at Ultimate Pizza. Awesome.
57th and 1st.
I go to Lombardi's.
Lombardi's is good too, but
you ever go to Supreme across from the Garden?
I've never been to that.
Okay.
I've been to Supreme.
You have Sbarro? Is that the same?
No, not Sbarro.
I'm joking. I have to get a bagel with cream cheese and lox. I prefer the lox from Zabar's.
Nice.
Zabar's is good.
Or Fairway or
Fairway.
Gourmet
you live on the Upper
Garage.
West Side?
The east side, Midtown East. Yeah. So,
okay.
and I have to have a lot of Chinese food.
Yes. And you go to Chinatown for that?
Now, where do you get Chinese food in New York?
Well, it depends what we want. There's Joe Shanghai. There's Kanji Village. I mean, I can go on.
Kanji Village?
Yeah.
Where's that?
That's on Allen Street.
Oh, it's down in Chinatown?
It's Chinatown. Yep. So that's what I miss, the food. And my family, of course.
Yeah, of course.
We say that too, but it's always family. It's always food first.
Family later on.
Well, family gives you pain in another area.
Well, it goes hand in hand.
Yes.
You know, it's like an eating fest.
It really is.
Michelle.
Yes.
Michelle, you've been a fantastic guest.
Thank you for having me.
When you're ready to announce your new products, when you get to that point, give us a ring.
I would
have you
love
back
that.
on the air.
I've got some awesome things.
Good. I'm excited to
You
hear
do?
about it.
Yep.
All right, we'll
More
leave you
to
a
come.
cliffhanger. All right, Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you next week, Scott.
Okay, see you then, Arnie. Thank you for listening to What Do You Know?
I can't wait for the next show, Scott.
I'm excited too, Arnie. If you'd like to suggest a guest, send me an email at scottrichmond@townsquaremedia.com. We'll see you next week. And thanks for listening to Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290, 1015 FM, and newstalkkgvo.com.